So welcome to our Mind the Moment Tuesday morning mindfulness gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. This is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and I'm very happy to be back here with Rebecca Wing, licensed clinical professional counselor and mindfulness instructor.
Good morning, everybody. Hi, Suzanne. Good to be with you all.
Good to see you and good to be with you this morning. So everyone, today we'll start again as we usually do with a question for the group. And then Rebecca will lead us in a guided practice and share some thoughts with us.
Yes.
And after that, we will have some time for questions. So if you go to the bottom of your screen and click on the chat, you'll notice that you can choose panelists and attendees if you'd like to see all the comments as they come in. That is a choice that you can make. And if you're thinking of any questions that you have right off the bat, you're welcome to type those in. But to start us off, Rebecca will give us an opportunity to ask a question. So what do you have for the group this morning, Rebecca?
Yes, so today we're going to be talking about uninvited thoughts. And so the question is, what thought has been sticky for you recently? In other words, what thought has been with you, whether coming up in meditation regularly, all uninvited, or just during the course of your day, a recurring thought or emotion that kind of keeps coming, and we call it sort of a stickiness to it. So what recurring thought or emotion has been sticky for you recently? And that's the question.
Yeah, so folks, let us know what you think. I know well, we have someone here that when it will be safe to interact with people.
Yeah, here comes the pandemic questions, right? Are all around this energy of everything from the vaccines to reemerging into society. Very, very recurring for all of us, for sure.
Wanting to travel and see family.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
Just on the subject or on the topic with John bringing up interacting with folks, this came up in a meditation group that I was in, is how do we not jump right back into our old lives?
Yeah.
Look at things differently and learn from the quiet that we've gotten from, some of the silver linings.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that I think today I just sort of wanted to bring your awareness to around mindfulness practice in general. I'm very involved in sort of the meshing together or melding together of what we do in formal meditation practice and what we do during the course of the day, and how we let our meditation inform our daily life. And, so questions like, Deanna is saying, am I doing enough? Will I be successful? Those kinds of questions that kind of come up. Sometimes they come up while we're sitting in meditation, but other times they're just sort of there at 2 a.m. in the morning when we wake up, or when we're having our lunch, or when we're sort of in these in-between places in our life. And one of the things that I wanted to share with everybody today is the recognition that sometimes we lose sight of the fact that what we're trying to get better at is learning how to identify emotions that we have beneath the story that we're telling ourselves. And this may seem like a rudimentary thing to share, but I'm going to share this image with you. Can I share something, Suzanne? Can you enable that for me?
Yeah.
It's basically a chart that has to do with emotions in general. Because oftentimes, thank you, what we do is we forget that beneath every thought is a foundational emotion. And this will seem like a pretty rudimentary chart to those of you who know about emotions, but sometimes it's easy to forget that there are different intensities of emotion. So low intensity, medium intensity, and high intensity. So you can kind of quibble with the categories here, but the point ultimately is that if I, for instance, am afraid, that, well, there are very different qualities of afraidness. There's being anxious and unsure, all the way up to being terrified and horrified. And oftentimes when we're in sticky thoughts and in a place where we're sort of lost in the story of what we are feeling, we disconnect from the actual emotional content. And one of the amazing things about mindfulness is we can get more and more skilled at being able to actually name the emotion absent the story. And when we do that, then we can start to sort of drop into an experience of mindful awareness of not only what am I feeling emotionally, but where am I feeling that in my body? A lot of times we numb out around the emotions physically, or we contract around the emotions physically. So what I'm going to ask us to do today is we're going to do a contemplative meditation. It's not actually going to be a traditional mindfulness, calm abiding meditation. It's more contemplative in nature. And what I want you to do is, if you could identify, again, bring to mind the one thought that seems to be the sticky one that you've identified, that comes uninvited and is frequently there, just in the in-between spaces of your day. And what we're going to do is a little bit of an exploration of what it feels like to have that thought, identifying where we feel it in the body, and then also getting better at really attending to the foundational emotion that's at the bottom of the story, as it were. So let's do a little practice, and I'll guide you through this. So find your seat, find a way to get comfortable this morning. First off, just sort of drop into recognizing the busyness of the morning so far and deciding to let the need to manage anything rest for now. And bring a certain dignity to your posture as you sit, upright and at ease. You may notice, of course, as you drop the awareness into the body, that there's breath happening there. So just enjoy the moments of resting in mindful awareness of your breathing in this moment, relaxing around the sensation. And then we're going to bring to mind the sticky thought, the one that's been with you more often than not the last few days. And see if you can listen to the story the thought tells, or where you are when the thought comes up. Maybe it's with someone in a scenario or setting. And if that's the case, bring to mind where you are and who you're with if this thought arises in a specific setting. And see if you can encapsulate the sticky thought with one sentence, saying it to yourself. And then explore what it might be like to notice if any sensations are arising in the body in response to this sentence. Checking in with the jaw, neck, and shoulders. Noticing if there's anything arising there in reaction to the story. Perhaps in the upper chest, the heart area, or sensations in the belly. So just explore, where does this sticky story thought live? Or where do I feel it in my body? Or is it numb? I can't feel anything. So just explore, absent judgment. Where is it? If a sensation is there, I'm going to ask you to explore one further step. What is the root emotion that lives beneath the story? Name the emotion to yourself. You'll notice how the mind wants to go back to the story. Try to stay with just the emotion and the sensation in the body. Gentle awareness. The next step is to see if we can soften any contracted sensation in the body. We can make room for the sensation with this attentive awareness, this curiosity, and explore a little letting go in the body around the emotion and the story. Let go. And as we encourage the mind to let go, you can invite the exhale to be a symbol of that release. As I breathe out each time, I'm letting go. When the mind wanders off, we patiently usher it back, reconnecting to that releasing quality of the exhale and encouraging letting go. Let go. Allow yourself to relax in letting go. See if you can enjoy the sensation, even if there's still a little stickiness. Relax in the letting go. As we move towards the end of the practice, drop the form and see if you can encourage yourself to simply rest. You can let the mind do what it wants, but just give yourself permission to rest. As we end the practice, it can be helpful to draw a deeper breath back into the body, moving the hands and feet. I find oftentimes a nice stretch is helpful after a meditation as we end the practice.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome. I wanted to tell just a little story that can maybe help sort of, what's the right word, address this particular kind of practice. And it has to do with a real life, not a meditation, something that happened to me. And then I applied mindfulness too. So here's the story. Last summer, we had a big rock in our garden area that we needed to move, I wanted to move. And we had two friends over and we're all outside. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. And so we got in our head that we were going to move this boulder from point A to point B. And it wasn't a very far place to move it to, but we had to move it up and onto another set of rocks. And so the whole experience was beyond our capacity, frankly. We should not have tried to move this rock by ourselves, even though there were four of us. And at one point, my husband said, put it down, put it down, put it down. Nope, 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 nope. And so we realized that we had put it down. And so we tried to do it in a way that didn't like crush our toes. And my husband has a weak back. So I thought, oh my gosh, it's hurt his back. So everybody was okay. But then that night when I was trying to sleep, I was laying in bed rehearsing and seeing that scene over and over and over again. I can't believe I asked them to move that rock. Somebody could have gotten really hurt. I just can't believe it. What was I thinking? So over and over again, I could not fall asleep. And so what I eventually did was I dropped into, okay, what am I feeling right now? And at the base of the story was fear. And so I dropped into, okay, wow, this is fear. Okay. And I dropped in the physical sensation of the fear that was really coursing still through my body. and started to breathe into and soften into awareness of the physical manifestation of the fear, and then felt my body as it was laying on the bed, softened my jaw and my shoulders, and eventually was able to fall to sleep. So this is that recognition that sometimes the story is so strong, we're not actually aware of what we're feeling. And once we can identify the feeling, then we have an opportunity to drop into the physical body and settle ourselves. So if you had an experience today where you maybe got a little way there and noticed that once there was an identification of the root emotion, then we could start dropping into the exhale and letting go practice. And that's what we do in formal meditation, so that during the day when that comes up uninvited, again, there can be a little mantra that says, okay, for now, enough for now. I'm going to let that go. I don't need to think about that right now. Let it go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. When you mention, is something about naming the emotion that helps you step away from it a little bit more.
Yeah.
When you're in the midst of thinking through any situation like that, there can be so many different scenarios, like what if this happened, what if that? And then if you just like, this is where it's coming from and this is what it is, it's just like, okay, it's one word. I can kind of deal with that one word and figure it out from there.
It kind of loses it depersonalizes it a little bit, right? So when we name an emotion, it's an emotion, it's an energy that we're feeling, but it's not necessarily only personal to us. All people experience fear. Everybody experiences anxiety. Everybody experiences irritation and anger. So if I can just really drop into the naming of it, it sort of in a way holds my awareness of the universality of that particular emotion, absent the story. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what folks felt about that practice. I tend to, when I meditate, I tend to meditate in silence. But with this practice, having someone else give me the permission to let go and taking me through that scenario outside myself, I think was really helpful.
That it is true, isn't it? That sometimes we need permission to let go.
Yeah.
And understandably, because sometimes we feel like we have to keep problem solving the thing over and over again. But in reality, there are times when, I'm not saying that we shouldn't sometimes problem solve, but there are most of the time we don't have this mental space or the stability to be thinking about something that's really has a deep, strong emotion. So the letting go is the best we can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Folks are sharing that it was interesting and helpful.
Yeah.
Wonderful tap into fear and anxiety and letting it go was great.
Yeah. And this is a short one because, normally you would sit for something with that. You would take longer to just drop into present breath, notice, and you would rehearse the scene of your worst fear or whatever it is. You would actually really try to cultivate the scenario that you oftentimes it's an anticipated scenario for most of us, or a past experience that's creating the emotion. So the more you can sort of intentionally cultivate the emotion, and so that you're really trying to get familiar with it, so that now okay, so there it is, I can see it again, that's the fear, and that allows us to become more friendly towards the emotion because it's more familiar. It's recognizing that each time that thought arises, and sometimes the emotion will be slightly different, it'll slightly change to the same story. So again, it's that familiarization that we're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone says, I feel resolved. That's great. Beth mentioned it was perfect for my day. I was feeling anxious and I was able to let go.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. Is it's a great way to start our day. Many times where we wake up with these feelings, and if we can drop into them and let go of them, it can start our day on a different note.
And to recognize that the letting go practice is not one and done. It is, in fact, something that we do over and over and over again. I mean, if we could let go and completely be done forever, that'd be great, but this doesn't work that way. So that's why we call it practice. So we can do it in meditation practice, and then throughout your day to day, if you notice it arising again, okay, let's just breathe out and let go. Let go. And that allows us to decide when we're going to think about it. And I think, Suzanne, you had made a point where you were talking about how there are some times when we really need to think about this stuff. Yeah, we do. But making time for thinking it through and journaling or research or talking to somebody about it is different than uninvited stickiness hovering over me all day. So if enough for now, let it go is appropriate, then I can do whatever else I'm doing throughout the day. And then I can really reassure myself, you know what, I will think about that when I have time this weekend or whenever, right? And recognize that yeah, I certainly might need to do some problem solving around this. But right now I'm trying to cook dinner for the kids, or I'm trying to answer my emails, or whatever it is I'm trying to do with my mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have to mention to you, someone was asking about your background, and they said it was lovely. And was it a green screen? So,
I thought you meant but no, this is my studio space.
Yeah.
So I'm a musician as well as a mental health counselor and mindfulness meditation teacher. So the space that I'm in right now has been a flex space for, let's see, we've been here 23 years now. And so you're seeing my piano behind me, and you're seeing some counseling books on the bookshelf, and my couch and chair are over here. You just can't see them. So it's a big, beautiful space. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's very, lots of natural light comes in too, which I'm.
Yes,
nice.
Yes.
So I think there was a lot of benefit that folks saw from your practice. So we're very grateful to you, Rebecca.
Oh, it's my pleasure, everybody. And it's so good to be with you this morning. And, we're just all practicing together. So anytime you feel alone in your meditation, just know that there are hundreds of thousands of people around the world who are meditating too. So you're not alone in your practice.
Right.
Yeah.
And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you're with us with your practice. So that's always an option too. So thank you again so much, Rebecca. And thank you for everyone for joining with us and for bringing your thoughts and inspirations and also feedback into the group. We're very grateful for it. I think it makes us all, brings a wonderful start to our day and brings us all together. So we look forward to seeing you again on Thursday, where actually we'll have Jackie Johnson here on Thursday. So thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks again.
Bye, everybody. Good to be with you.
Bye.